Here's something nobody tells you about money. The people who are genuinely financially stable, not rich, not flashy, just stable, aren't following complicated investment strategies or waking up at 4 a.m. to trade stocks. They follow boring rules, embarrassingly simple rules. The kind of rules that would make a terrible TikTok because there's nothing sexy about them. Today we're going through the minimalist money rules that quietly keep people financially stable, not for a month, not for a year, forever. And rule number 7 is the one that protects you when life throws something unexpected at you, which if you're a woman managing a household is basically every other Tuesday. Stay for that one. The rule is simple. If it's not a genuine need, groceries, bills, medicine, wait 24 hours before buying it. That's it. You don't say no, you just say not yet. Here's why this is quietly devastating to overspending. Research in consumer psychology shows that the urge to buy something peaks at the moment you see it. The "I need this" feeling? It's not rational, it's a dopamine spike. Your brain is responding to novelty, not necessity. And within 24 hours, that spike fades in roughly 70% of cases. The thing you absolutely had to have yesterday, today you can't even remember what it was. This rule is especially powerful for online shopping, which is where most impulse spending happens now. The cart is right there. The checkout is one click. The algorithm knows exactly what you want before you do. It's basically a trap designed by the smartest engineers on Earth to separate you from your money as fast as possible. The 24-hour pause breaks the cycle, not with willpower, with time, and time is free. For anyone who has ever received a package and thought, "I don't even remember ordering this," this rule was made for you. Fixed expenses are the bills that show up every single month, no matter what. Rent or mortgage, utilities, insurance, car payment, subscriptions, phone bill, the stuff that's on autopilot. The minimalist money rule is, these should never exceed 50% of your take-home income. If they do, you're structurally squeezed, meaning no matter how disciplined you are with daily spending, you'll always feel financially tight because the foundation is too expensive. This is based on what financial planners call the 50-30-20 framework. 50% needs, 30% wants, 20% savings. But the critical insight most people miss is that the 50% ceiling on fixed costs is the non-negotiable anchor. If that number creeps above 50, which happens slowly, one upgraded subscription or slightly nicer apartment at a time, everything else collapses. This is the silent killer of financial stability. It's called lifestyle creep, and it happens when income rises but fixed expenses rise faster, because every raise gets absorbed by a small upgrade that becomes a permanent bill. The rule isn't about deprivation. It's about protecting your breathing room. Because when your fixed costs are under control, a bad month doesn't become a crisis. It's just a bad month. Here's a truth about human behavior that applies to almost everyone. If money is sitting in your checking account, it will get spent. Not because you're irresponsible, but because your brain treats visible, accessible money as available money. That's just how brains work. The fix is automation. The moment your paycheck lands, a set percentage moves automatically to savings, investments, or a separate account before you see it, before you touch it, before you make any decisions about it. Behavioral economics research, particularly the work of Richard Thaler, who won a Nobel Prize for this, shows that automatic enrollment in savings programs dramatically increases savings rates. When saving requires action, most people don't do it. When saving happens by default, most people never notice the money is gone. The minimalist version, pick a percentage, even 10%, and set up an automatic transfer on payday. Don't think about it. Don't adjust it based on feelings. Treat it like a bill that's already paid. People who automate their savings consistently report feeling more financially secure, not less, even though their spending money is technically lower, because knowing money is being saved somewhere removes the background anxiety of, "I should be saving, but I'm not." That guilt alone is exhausting. Automation kills it. Subscriptions are the financial equivalent of that junk drawer in your kitchen. They accumulate silently, nobody knows what's in there, and every time you finally open it, you're horrified. The average American household spends over $200 per month on subscriptions, and research from C+R Research found that most people underestimate their subscription spending by about 2.5 times, meaning you think you're spending $80 a month. You're actually spending $200. Surprise! The minimalist rule is one in, one out. Want a new streaming service? Cancel one you haven't opened in 3 months. Want to try that meal kit delivery? Drop something else of equal cost. The total number of recurring charges never increases. This isn't about never subscribing to anything. It's about forcing a trade-off, which is what real financial decision-making actually looks like. Unlimited yes isn't a strategy. It's how you wake up one day paying for 7 streaming platforms, 2 meditation apps, a fitness app you last opened in February, and a wine subscription you signed up for at 11 p.m. and deeply regret. One in, one out. The drawer stays clean. Cards, whether credit or debit, make spending invisible. You tap, it's done, and your brain barely registers the transaction. Research from MIT found that people spend up to 100% more when paying with cards versus cash, double for the same items. The minimalist rule is, set a fixed weekly amount for discretionary spending, groceries excluded, just the extras, and either use cash or a dedicated prepaid card. When it's gone, it's gone. No dipping into next week. No, I'll balance it out later. This works because it converts abstract numbers on a screen into something tangible and finite. Handing over a $20 bill physically hurts more than tapping a card, and that friction is exactly what prevents overspending. For anyone managing a household, this is especially useful for categories that tend to spiral: kids' activities and extras, Target runs, Amazon impulse buys, coffee shop stops. Set a weekly cap for each category, and suddenly those $5 and $12 charges that don't really count stop silently draining your account. The rule isn't about being cheap, it's about being intentional. There's a difference, and your bank balance knows it even when your brain doesn't. This is the rule that separates people who build wealth from people who stay stuck. And it's painfully simple. If something loses value over time, a car, furniture, electronics, clothes, vacations, don't go into debt to buy it. Save for it or buy a less expensive version you can afford today. If something gains value over time, education, a home, a business, borrowing can make sense because the asset appreciates. The reason this matters so much: consumer debt, credit cards, personal loans, buy now, pay later, charges interest on things that are worth less by the time you finish paying for them. You end up paying $1,400 for a 1,000 couch that's worth $200 by year 3. That's not a purchase. That's a loss with extra steps. And buy now, pay later services, which have exploded in popularity, are specifically designed to make this feel painless. Just 4 easy payments. Sure, until you have 11 different 4 easy payments running simultaneously and your finances look like a Jenga tower in the final round. The minimalist rule is, if it depreciates, pay cash. If you can't pay cash, you can't afford it yet. The word yet matters. It's not never. It's not until the money is real. This is the rule saved for near the end, because it's the one that actually determines whether any of the other rules matter. An emergency fund is not an investment. It's not exciting. It doesn't grow fast. It sits in a savings account doing almost nothing, and that's the entire point. It's money that exists for one reason, so that when something goes wrong, and something always goes wrong, you don't have to go into debt to handle it. The Federal Reserve reports that roughly 37% of American adults cannot cover an unexpected $400 expense without borrowing. $400. That's a car repair, a medical copay, a broken appliance, the kinds of things that don't ask permission before showing up. The minimalist target: 3 months of essential expenses, not 3 months of your full lifestyle. 3 months of rent, utilities, groceries, insurance, the bare minimum to keep your life running if income stops or a crisis hits. And here's why this matters, especially for women. Research consistently shows that financial insecurity is one of the top reasons women stay in unhealthy relationships, tolerate toxic work environments, or can't leave situations that are harming them. An emergency fund isn't just financial stability, it's freedom, it's options. It's the ability to say, I can leave this, and actually mean it. Building it is boring. Having it is life-changing. This is the last rule, and it's the least financial one on the list, which is exactly why it might be the most important. Money is one of the most taboo topics in most households. Couples avoid it, friends don't discuss it, parents don't explain it to their kids, and the silence creates a breeding ground for shame, confusion, and terrible decisions made in isolation. Research from the Financial Health Network found that couples who discuss money regularly, not just during crises, but as a normal, ongoing conversation, have significantly less financial stress, fewer money-related conflicts, and higher net worth over time. Not because talking creates money, but because talking creates alignment, accountability, and shared awareness. For women specifically, this matters deeply. Historically, women have been excluded from financial conversations, and the legacy of that exclusion shows up today as lower financial confidence, less investment participation, and a higher likelihood of being financially blindsided by divorce, job loss, or a partner's debt. The minimalist rule is, once a month, have a 20-minute money conversation with your partner, if you have one, with yourself, if you don't. Review what came in, review what went out, talk about what's coming up. No blame, no shame, just numbers and a plan. It doesn't need to be formal. It can happen over coffee on a Sunday morning. The point isn't perfection, it's presence. Most financial damage doesn't happen because of bad decisions. It happens because of no decisions, because nobody was paying attention until something broke. Talk about money the way you talk about your calendar, casually, regularly, and without waiting for a crisis to force the conversation. 8 rules. None of them require a finance degree. None of them require earning more money. None of them involve complicated spreadsheets or crypto or waking up early to grind. They just require a few simple decisions, made once, maintained consistently, that quietly build the kind of stability most people spend their whole lives chasing. And here's the most important thing. Financial stability isn't about being rich. It's about not being scared. It's about a car breaking down and thinking, that's annoying, instead of, that's a disaster. It's about making choices from a place of calm instead of panic. Pick 2 rules from this list. Just 2, implement them this month, see what shifts. Drop a comment telling us which rules you're starting with, and if you have a money rule of your own that's kept you stable, share it. This comment section could genuinely help someone. If this video made money feel a little less overwhelming, hit that like button so it reaches other women who need to hear this. Subscribe if you're new. We share content like this every week for women who want real financial clarity without the jargon, the shame, or the hustle culture nonsense. See you in the next one, and go check your subscriptions. Right now, you're welcome.